Hello everyone, welcome to part 5 of this series on Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam. In the last part, we learned about his college life and higher education. In this part, we will know about his early career and his first job, which became the beginning of his journey as a scientist. After completing his aeronautical engineering at the Madras Institute of Technology, Kalam was ready to start his professional life, but stepping into the real world was not easy. He came from a very simple family background and now he had to compete in a world full of talented people. Yet Kalam's mind was full of dreams and his heart was full of determination. He wanted to work in the field of aviation to design aircrafts and to contribute to the growth of science in India. In the beginning, Kalam applied for many jobs. One of his biggest dreams was to become a pilot in the Indian Air Force. He gave the Air Force pilot selection test and reached very close to success. He stood ninth in the list, but only 8 candidates were selected. This rejection was very painful for him. For a young man who always dreamed of flying planes, it was a big disappointment. But Kalam did not allow this failure to destroy his spirit. He accepted it with courage and decided that if he could not fly planes, then he would build them. This positive attitude turned his failure into a new beginning. After this, Kalam was selected for a job at the Defense Research and Development Organization in 1958. This was his first official job as a scientist at DRDO. He worked on designing small aircrafts and helicopters. His work was not easy. The resources were limited, the technology was not very advanced, and the expectations were very high. Yet, Kalam used his creativity and knowledge to do his best. Even in his early days, he showed leadership qualities. He was always ready to take responsibility to guide his team and to work late hours if required. Kalam's honesty and dedication slowly started to impress his seniors. Though his projects at DRDO were not very successful in the beginning, they gave him important lessons. He learned that research is not always about instant success. Sometimes failures become the first step towards bigger achievements. He also learned that teamwork, discipline, and patience are the backbone of scientific progress. During his time at Defense Research Development Organization, Kalam also worked under great scientists and leaders. They guided him, gave him opportunities, and trusted his abilities. This encouragement gave him confidence. He realized that science was not just about machines and designs, it was also about vision and the courage to take bold steps. He wanted to do something greater, something that could inspire the whole nation. Later in 1969, Kalam was transferred to the Indian Space Research Organization. This was a very important turning point in his career. At ISRO, he got the chance to work on India's space projects, especially the development of the satellite launch vehicles. But before we talk about that in the coming parts, it is important to understand how his early years in Defense Research Development Organization built the base of his career. Kalam himself once said that his first job taught him the value of discipline and perseverance. He used to recall how he worked on small projects that failed again and again, but instead of losing hope, he treated every failure as a teacher. This attitude gave him the strength to handle bigger failures later in his life when he was leading national projects. The rejection from the Air Force also became a blessing in disguise. If he had become a pilot, he might have lived a very different life. But because he failed there, he got the chance to become a scientist. And as a scientist, he was able to serve the nation in a much bigger way. Life had closed one door for him, but it had opened a much wider one. Dr. Kalam accepted this truth and moved forward with courage. Another important thing about his early career was his simple lifestyle. Even though he had a job and a salary, he continued to live with discipline and humility. He did not waste money on luxuries. He focused on his work, his learning, and his contribution to the country. His colleagues often noticed how dedicated he was. He never worked just for personal gain, he always thought about the nation first. In his early career, Kalam also faced challenges of technology. India was not advanced in science at that time. Many times, parts and machines were not available, funds were limited, and knowledge was less. But Kalam believed that Indian scientists could do wonder if they trusted themselves. He always encouraged his team to think positively and to find solutions with whatever resources they had. This creativity, problem solving attitude made him stand apart from others. The story of Kalam's first job is not just about science, it is about values. It teaches us that failure is not the end, that rejection can sometimes guide us to our true path, and that dedication always gives results in the long run. His journey from being rejected as a pilot to becoming a scientist at Defense Research Development Organization shows the power of patience and hard work. By the end of his early career phase, Kalam had become a confident young scientist, ready to take bigger challenges. He was no longer just a student from Rameshwaram, he was now a man with vision, knowledge, and determination. His first job was the training ground that prepared him for the great responsibilities he was going to take at ISRO and later for India's missile program. So, friends, this was about Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam's early career and his first job. In the next part, we will learn about his entry into ISRO and how he began working on India's space program, which changed his life and the future of our country.